Good morning, everybody. My name is Pranav, a legal intern at Lexis and Company for the month of June. And today I will be discussing about another topic under the Indian Partnership Act, which is the implied authority of a partner. Types of authority of a partner. The authority of a partner means the capacity of a partner to bind the firm by his acts. Such authority can be divided into two types, namely express and implied authority. Express authority is when the partnership agreement expressly, that is, in writing, gives a partner the authority to act in a partnership business. This is known as an express authority. Implied authority is when there is no partnership agreement or if the partnership agreement is silent as to the authority of a partner to act. Then implied authority is inferred by the act of the partner done to carry on the business in the usual way. What are the conditions for valid implied authority? If the following conditions are satisfied, then the implied authority of a partner binds the firm. There are three conditions for this. First is the act must have been done within the scope of partnership and it must relate to the normal business of the firm. Second is the act must be such as is done within the scope of business of the firm in the usual way. And third is the act must be done in the name of the firm or in any other manner expressing or implying an intention to bind the firm. Now, let's look at what are the acts done within the implied authority. Decided case laws have repeatedly held that the following acts are within the scope of implied authority and hence bind the firm. The following five acts are done within the implied authority, which are purchasing and selling goods in the usual course of business, recovering payments from customers, dealers, and payments to the suppliers in the usual course of business, drawing, accepting, endorsing bills and other negotiable instruments in the name of the firm, engaging a lawyer to defend an action against the firm, buying or hiring to credit the kind of goods that are used in the firm's business. Let's look at the acts which are outside the implied authority. In the absence of any usage or custom of trade to the contrary, the implied authority of a partner does not empower him to do the following acts. These acts are otherwise known as ultra vires acts and they do not bind the firm. The following acts are done outside the implied authority, which are submitting a dispute relating to the business of the firm to arbitration, opening a bank account on behalf of the firm in his own name, compromising or relinquishing any claim, withdrawing a suit or proceeding filed on behalf of the firm, admitting any liability in a suit or proceeding against the firm, acquiring a movable property belonging to the firm, transferring a movable property belonging to the firm, and finally entering into a partnership on behalf of the firm. What is a partner's implied authority in an emergency situation only? In an emergency situation, a partner has the authority to do certain acts provided they are done to protect the firm from loss and the partner acts as a prudent person who would act under similar circumstances in his own case. Now, coming to the last topic of the discussion is implied authority with a third party. Any third party, while dealing with a partner, believes that he is dealing with a firm. A partner may act beyond his authority, but if the third party acts in good faith, thinking that the partner is acting within his ostensible and apparent authority, then the firm is liable for such acts. The following acts bind the firm as against a claim by third parties. First is the extension and restriction of partner's implied authority. Secondly, an admission or representation made by a partner concerning the affairs of the firm is evidence against the firm. Thirdly, notice to a partner who habitually acts in the business of the firm of any matter relating to the affairs of the firm. Fourthly, every partner is jointly liable with all the other partners and also severally for all the acts of the firm. Fifthly, liability of the firm for any wrongful acts of the partnership. And sixthly, liability of the firm for any misappropriation. And with this, I come to the end for today's discussion. Thank you all.